Hi, this is Dave from Priority Bicycles, and we're going to build your new Priority Classic Plus today. Now, before we get started, it's important to remember that we always recommend that you either have a professional bicycle mechanic assemble your bike, or if you choose home assembly, to make sure and have a professional bicycle mechanic safety check your bike before riding. Now, to get started, you'll need a pair of household scissors. Let's open up the box. Once you've unpacked your bike fully and the accessories box, let's take a look at what's inside the accessories box. First, you're going to find your owner's manuals. Now's a good time to stop, read the owner's manuals completely before proceeding with your assembly. Once you're ready to assemble, you'll notice you've got a 15mm wrench, a 6, 5, and 4mm Allen wrench. You'll have a set of reflectors, and when we get to installing the reflectors, you will need a household Phillips screwdriver to install them. Some bikes also come with touch-up paint. If your bike comes with touch-up paint, set this aside to use it in the future. With your pedals, you'll notice that one pedal has an R and one pedal has an L sticker on it. You'll have your seat post, and wheel. Let's get started by installing the handlebar stem. We're going to need the 6mm Allen wrench. The first step to installing your handlebars is to make sure that your fork is on the correct direction. You'll notice out of the box a yellow sticker showing the correct way of front. We ship with the front brake pointing in the rear, but you'll want to turn so your front brake points in the front of the bike. And then remove all the protective packaging. With your front brake pointed towards the front of the bike, take your handlebars and twist the handlebars such that your front brake is the frontmost cable, and the gear cable runs inside, making a nice smooth arch from the right-hand side to the left of the tube. You'll want to remove the black plastic cap on this handlebar stem. If you find this difficult to remove, loosen the stem bolt a few turns with your 6mm Allen wrench. Go ahead and stick the stem into the head tube of the bicycle. If you have any difficulty getting this in, try turning 1 to 2 revolutions. Do not loosen this so much that the wedge here falls off. 1 to 2 revolutions should be loose enough so that you can get the stem into the head tube of the bike. Once in, and make sure that you've inserted past the maximum height marking, go ahead and tighten. Later, we're going to check that this is adequately tight and straight. But for now, loosely tighten it and make sure it's loosely straight enough. Now, let's move on to the front wheel. Before we install the wheel, loosen each wheel nut. You should be able to do this by hand. Now, pay attention to the tread pattern on your tire. You're going to want the tread pattern to point forward. If you're not sure which way forward is, take a look at your rear tire, and the tread pattern should be matching the same way. Then, on each side of the axle nuts, pull the washers towards the axle nut, away from the center of the hub. Ensuring that your brake is in the up position, go ahead and put the wheel in between the fork. You may need to loosen the nuts a little more to get it to slide on. With your wheel fully seated in the dropouts and the washers pushed to the outside, grab the hook washer on each side and put it in the corresponding hole on the 12 o'clock position of the fork leg. Finger tighten each wheel axle. With each wheel axle nut finger tight, ensure that the wheel is center within the fork. Grab the closed end of your 15mm wrench and tighten. With your front wheel fully tightened, we're going to want to move on to your brake. Now, first, make sure that your brake cable is coming out of the brake lever barrel here. In my case, the cable's not coming out of the barrel. So what I'm going to need to do is pay attention to this channel in the brake lever. I'm going to need to line up the same channel on the barrel here. Then, with one hand, grab the brake lever closed and pull the cable housing so that it goes right into the barrel. Now, use the quick release lever on your brake to close the brake, grab the brake lever, and ensure that you now have your wheel properly aligned, that your brake pads are grabbing equal distance and center on the rim. Now let's put the kickstand down and move on to installing our pedals. Moving on to installing your pedals, you're going to need your 15mm wrench. With your pedals unwrapped, you're going to notice an R for right and an L for left. Let's start with the right hand pedal. The right hand pedal is standard thread, which means that you're going to turn it clockwise onto the right or drive side crank arm. To screw in the right pedal, turn it clockwise into the right or drive side crank. Use your wrench to finish. Please note that you do need this good and tight in the crank arm. So once I get it in, I'm going to go ahead and put some weight into ensuring that the pedal is very tight in the crank arm. Next, understand that the left-hand side is reverse thread. This means we're going to turn counterclockwise, or to the left, to tighten. And follow the same process. With your pedals on firmly, let's move on to the seat. You're going to need your 5mm Allen wrench. Go ahead and stick your seat post into the seat tube of the bike. Put it at a comfortable height, straight, and tighten. You can come back later and adjust this further. Now let's move on to your reflectors. To install your reflectors, you're going to need a household screwdriver. You should see a red rear reflector with Phillips screw and a white front reflector with Phillips screw. Go ahead and remove the screw, place it on the handlebar, and tighten. Same process for the rear reflector. Now let's put some air in your tires. To put air in your tires, you're going to start by removing the dust cap on each tube. Take the hose from the pump and, noting the bigger of the two holes, push the head onto the tube, and while you're holding it on, push up on the lever to lock it in place. Then begin pumping. Note that we're going to put 80, which is on the inside here in red, PSI of pressure. Once you've achieved 80 PSI in your tire, simply push down on the lever and remove. Reinstall your valve cap and repeat the same for the front tire. With air in your tires, you're ready to do a final safety check. First, ensure that your handlebar stem is straight and tight. Same with your handlebar stem. Make sure it's good and tight so that your bars are in the right position and don't move while riding. Next, go through every single nut and bolt on the bike and make sure that it's tight. Finally, if you've chosen home assembly, make sure to have a professional bicycle mechanic safety check your bike before your first ride. If you have any questions, we're available 7 days a week to help. Our fastest response is via email, info@prioritybicycles.com. We hope you love your new Priority Classic Plus.